So here is our X-ray flux for the past 3 days. We see May 8th there, May 7th, May 6th. Here is the 4.5 X-class flare that we had. This was very significant, very broad duration. We see that really setting a high watermark for the recent activity, and we'll look at the 7-day as well. But look at all these flares here. M-class flare, M-class, M-class. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 M-class flares in just a little bit more than 48 hours. We have this X-class flare here, another X-class flare there, and of course that 4.5 X-class flare there. So let's zoom in on today, because this is where we've had this very powerful halo CME. We see a 1.08 X-class flare, and then another 1.04, but very broad duration. And you can look at the overall energy flux and how it's been increasing significantly for more than a day now. If we go to our 7-day, we'll see that very clearly. And here is our 7-day X-ray flux. Look at how it's just continuously increasing. So we're in a constant radiation blackout now on the daylight side. Anyone that's operating a ham radio should be experiencing some signal degradation as a result, because the ionosphere is just so charged by all the X-ray radiation coming in. So it's a very continuous increase of energy as a result, and now in the past 24 hours we've had 2 halo C.M.E.s get launched from the sun, whereas a lot of the solar activity didn't necessarily launch halo C.M.E.s. That is the telltale sign that we have a coronal mass ejection headed our way. Let's look at that coronagraph data now. Here is our C2 and C3 view of the sun, and we'll see a halo CME get launched right here. Some of that data gets cropped out, so it's kind of hard to see it, but you do see an expansion of the corona in all directions, meaning that there is a launch of coronal material our way, a coronal mass ejection, and we also see a second, larger, more powerful CME get launched from the sun right at the end of this video. We have more data that we'll look at live. But what we'll also see here is we see Venus and Jupiter. So we see 2 of the planets that are undergoing cazimi showing up in our coronagraph. And so Jupiter will cazimi first, and then Venus will cazimi second. But we have 2 halo CMEs coming our way. Let's give that second, more recent, more powerful coronal mass ejection a closer look by looking at the real-time data right now. So here's our C2 view again, and you'll see a very big coronal mass ejection get launched early on the 8th right here. There it is, going out in all directions, and now we can look at the C3 view. Here's our C3 coronagraph again, and we'll see this very large, most recent coronal mass ejection come up right about here. There it goes, very dense and in all directions. So a classic halo coronal mass ejections. Again, this is Venus. Here is Jupiter there. And so we have this big wave of solar plasma coming our way, not that fast, but very dense. And this is from a very long duration period of solar activity. So it is going to be one of these longer geomagnetic storms as a result. And also, geomagnetic storm severity depends on how the Earth is already stationed and set up energetically. Does it have a lot of energy in the radiation belts? Is its magnetic field already under flux? What's the solar wind conditions at the time of the impact, like right before? So we have already a bunch of energy in the interplanetary magnetic field. We already have a lot of energy that's come into the planet because of the recent geomagnetic storms and solar flares. And so this coronal mass ejection will hit a more unstable Earth system as a result, and that is likely to increase the severity of the geomagnetic storming. So it's hard to say exactly what strength it will go to. That depends on its intrinsic magnetic field characteristics. Could be a G2, G3. We will find out, but it's likely to come in around May 10th, May 11th or so, maybe a little later. Depends on if it meets that second coronal mass ejection and then gets slowed down by that one that happened earlier. the one I showed prior to this. The two might meet up in space and then form a larger, more powerful plasma wave that impacts the Earth. That's likely, but they could also be staggered one after the other with some time gap in between, making a longer duration geomagnetic storm. But this is what we have coming up in the next few days, this very big coronal mass ejection here, and also the one that we saw occur prior. Here is our 131 angstrom view of the sun from the 6th of May to now today, the 8th, and we will see a lot of activity from 3664 and 3663. Give 3664 a watch. Early on the 8th, you'll see that very long duration X-class flare and a big burst of energy come out of it, as you see right there. Also, a lot of flaring from 3663 back on the 6th, and they start to flare sympathetically together at the same time. So just in general, looking at the 131 angstrom view, you see just how active the sun has been and how it's continuing to increase in the severity of its solar activity. And now it's starting to launch significant coronal mass ejections, as we saw with the coronagraph. So really a ton of solar activity happening right now with the sun over the past few days and really the past few weeks. So we've been in it for a while now, and it's continuing to increase, and we have those C.M.E.s coming up. So now let's talk about the planetary resonances.